Sleepy Hollow Season 4, Episode 7, Loco Parentis. I actually enjoyed this episode. We got a really good amount of Molly in this where we learn about her being the youngest, not just the youngest member, but the youngest witness in this series. We really got an interesting perspective on her, and we actually also get a little bit more personal stuff about their entire family dynamic because seemingly in the beginning we have our distant father come into play, and we find out that the reason he's distant, even though of course it ends up being a monster the whole time, is actually because this dude is he's in the army. Like, that's pretty much it. That's why it just doesn't work for them, because he goes on tours and stuff like that, and they don't really get too much into detail because I would assume that they could still make it work. I guess it was just in general the time apart just didn't work for them, I guess, because that happens all the time where people are in relationships like that. So I felt like it had to be a little bit more, but I guess not, because when the monster is posing as the father, and he comes back and it's like, we can make this work, and it seemed simple enough. It was like, was it really just that he was gone in the army? Like, I thought that was a weird reason, but for some people that doesn't work. But it was just, that was really it, is that he left, but he also chose to leave. So there are some more nuanced things to that, but it seemed like such a simple reason, and it was like, yeah, we can work it out. Like, I'm not going back, so let's make it work. So I was like, oh, it's much simpler than I thought it was going to be. I just assumed they had an actual falling out, and that's why they weren't together, but it was actually much simpler than that. So we got a bit of insight into that. I don't know if that'll come into play, because they do reference the fact that the actual father has 6 more months left on his tour, so he could end up showing up in a future episode, probably in like the next season or something, and they actually explore the idea of him legitimately coming back into the show and into the girls' lives. But the way they handled it in this episode, I thought was pretty entertaining, because of course we don't know that until kind of towards the end of the episode, and we get the backstory that naturally Ichabod gives us. And I like the way it played out, because it was very simple. There are already 2 stories going on, so I'm like, alright, we know that there's some monster out there that's killing people, and based on the promo, we knew somehow it would end up going after Molly. But it seemed to be more focused on the family dynamic when it came to that story until the very end. And then the other side of the story was where things were really crazy, because of course we have Jenny and Jobe, and Jobe ends up breaking out of the lantern, but fortunately Jenny is in the bunker, which it was really cool to see that. I didn't think we'd actually see that anytime soon, so it was cool. She was still in Sleepy Hollow, and she's able to keep him entrapped inside kind of the spell circle. And we get some interesting moments there, and they touch on what I've been mentioning for the past couple of episodes, which is, why would Jobe be so interested in helping Dreyfuss? There's no reason for that, and they especially mention it in this, where it's like, at this point, it's not even a part of the contract. Like, he can't die now, so it's definitely null and void, but he was helping him even before that to get to this point, so there's something there. And Jenny, she makes a joke about it, like, is it like Stockholm Syndrome or something like that? So they at least officially kind of reference that idea, like, why in the world would this demon, who is supposed to be making sure that this contract is followed out, why is this demon following this human and allowing him to break that contract? And honestly, all I can think of as an answer is the fact that Malik is gone. Like, once that was done, this demon wouldn't have much to worry about. It's like, well, I'm a demon, the devil's gone, nobody's going to take over to, like, cause any of us any issues, so I'll just help him get what he wants. Who knows, maybe Joe wants to be human. It's really hard to say, but for whatever reason, he's still working with him. But I was happy that they referenced it, because that's been kind of getting at me for these past couple episodes. Like, man, why would he be working with him? So they talk about it, so we're going to get that reveal later on. But that was, I just really enjoyed that, because that's something that's been on my mind lately. So it was good to see that. Ultimately, in the end, Jenny finds out that Dreyfuss is alive, and she has to let Jobe go in order to help save Molly. So I was very surprised by that. I didn't think that it would be the very next episode and then they end up reunited, because Dreyfuss goes back to his company and he kicks everybody out, and he sees that Jobe is with him. So they got reunited after 1 episode. I was like, I definitely didn't expect that to happen. I figured maybe we'd have, I thought this whole episode Dreyfuss would be missing, and then maybe he'd come back and they'd still have Jobe captured, at least for a couple episodes. I also didn't think he'd, break out of the lantern at all. So I thought they'd be separated for a little while, but I figured they'd get back together. I was just really surprised that it happened in the very next episode. And he's been doing his thing, Dreyfuss, I mean, and Jobe ends up going to him and it's like, what have you been doing? Which, I guess it had been like a couple of days had passed. So it was interesting. I was like, wow, I didn't expect it to happen that quickly. and everyone already found out, that he's alive. So all that stuff happened right after the last episode. I was like, huh. I thought that would be a bit of a mystery to them for a few more episodes. It was like, nope. Jobe realizes that, like, he can sense him, I guess, or whatever. So he tells Jenny, like, oh, you think Dreyfuss is dead? And it's like, okay, well, that's not what we were expecting. He's immortal now, and of course they have to let Jobe go to save Molly at the end. So they know something big is coming because they have to deal with an immortal Dreyfuss as well as Jobe being back on his side. So I was happy to see that it was fast-paced. It just really shocked me. I was like, wow, I definitely thought they were going to hold off on that for a few more episodes. But I love when things are fast-paced and they just happen, like, 3 times faster than I was expecting. So I wasn't mad at it at all. I was just like, huh, that was way faster than I thought. Super happy to see that, though. And, that's what they're going to be headed into in these next couple episodes. Of course, Molly really diving into being a witness on her own is kind of what summoned the creature in this episode. And we find out that through the flashback, they specified the age thing about her turning 11, and that's why the creature killed the girl in the past, because she was a young witness, and it had to be on their 11th birthday. So I assume that things are going to officially start changing, because I don't believe they ever mentioned that before, the age thing, like where it becomes, where the witness gets their mantle, or however Ichabod described it. But with her turning 11, I assume that there are going to be certain elements that start to pop up. Maybe magical things start happening around her or are drawn to her because she's officially, a witness. But that also doesn't really happen to Ichabod. I guess in a sense it does, because obviously all the magical stuff always happens around the main characters. But that's just TV, so it's hard to say like that's directly connected to all the magic is drawn to Ichabod as a witness, or it was drawn to, Ichabod and Abby in the former season. So maybe there won't be that much of a difference, but I feel like there's got to be something there, because they, kind of mentioned something that I believe is brand new as far as the age thing. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. But ultimately, I thought this was a good episode. I think they did a lot of good stuff. The monster itself, wasn't that big of a deal, but what the monster did, I think, was really great, with the whole fake dad coming back into their lives sort of thing. And, it ends up just being a ploy, because the creature comes in as someone that the child can trust. And all the stuff before that reveal was still really good. I was like, the family dynamic stuff, because they don't really talk about that. This was the first episode. It's like, of course, you just have to wonder, is the parent dead? Is he just gone? I assumed he was gone, because whenever a parent is dead, they always reference that as fast as they possibly can. So I figured he was just gone and they weren't together. But they did a lot of good stuff with that, because we don't really get too much of the personal stuff, especially with Molly being separated, because her mom wants to, protect her as much as possible. So this is like the first big episode where she had a huge part, and I enjoyed that too. And she had some funny stuff with Ichabod as well, like learning about the past. And I love the ending sequence at her birthday party where he talked about syphilis, and the girl was like, what's syphilis? And he's like, well, it's syphilis. And he's like, here's the crown. He's like, all right, well, soccer. And he tries to take off. So I love those moments. But I think it was a good episode, and I'm excited for what they're leading into. We were missing 2 of our members from this episode, Alex and Wells. They were both absent in this one, which I thought was interesting. I felt like they definitely had some parts to play with just some of the crazy stuff that was happening. I felt like maybe they could have been involved with some of the Jobe stuff, but they were just completely absent in this. So that kind of sucked, because this was really the first episode where they didn't show up at all for the season. So it was really weird to not have either of them in it, because obviously they're main characters now. But still a really good episode. Love what they did with, all the stuff outside of the magical element with the monster, just the family dynamic and what they introduced, and how they could bring some of those ideas back when the father actually is done with his tour, if they want to go that route and actually add another dynamic to that whole thing, where now he has to be involved in all the magic stuff and find out his daughter is a witness and all this other weird stuff, which I think would actually be kind of cool to have all these characters accept it, and then someone new comes in and it's not. It would be very different, because we've had that before, of course, where new characters come in like, crap, magic stuff is real. But this would be different, because he's like, magic stuff is real, and then he'd go through all the same stuff that Diana is going through right now, where it's like, crap, it's real, and it's kind of all focused on my daughter, which really sucks. So if they decide to go that route, I think I'd like that, because they showed off some pretty good stuff in this episode. But ultimately it was good. It was really fast paced as far as some of the overarching plot lines with Dreyfuss and Jobe. The stuff that they did, kind of really getting Molly into the mix with all the witness stuff and dealing with the monsters firsthand. Really enjoyed all that stuff. The family dynamic, like I said, was a surprising a surprisingly really good part of this episode, for me at least. But we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts were. And I really want to know how you guys think they're going to start introducing Molly into the role of being a very young witness, because this is her first step into it. She was doing her own research and writing the runes and stuff down. That's what kind of spawned the creature itself. So they're going to do a lot to kind of start get the ball rolling with her, and that's kind of what I've been looking forward to, because I'm like, how are they going to make this work? It just has me really excited, because there's some things where it has to be one of the two witnesses, and they've kind of done that a little, like when they had Molly on speakerphone, and she was the one that actually saved Ichabod when he was in like the dream sequence from the crazy spider creature. So they've done moments like that. I think that was like the one moment really, but I'm excited to see where they're headed. But we'd love to know how you guys think they're going to start implementing her into the actual role and, you know, doing the duties of a witness. And of course, excuse me, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.